Whether it's your first time solo traveling and you're just looking for some tips that will help you out on your first couple of trips, or you're an avid solo traveler and you're just looking for more tools to add to your tool belt, this video has some incredible solo travel tips. But the best thing about these tips is that they all come from this incredible travel community. I've collected a few comments from the subscribers and the viewers of some of my solo travel videos who have just put things that work for them, things that they like to do on their solo trips, and I've put it all together to share with you today. I'm so thankful for this community. Thank you so much for contributing and for being part of this community. I love our little corner of the internet, so it makes me very happy. So I've got 3 solo travel tips that I'm gonna add in the first part, and then everything else comes straight from the community. So let's get started. So something that I do that's been useful for me, not only when I'm solo traveling, but also just traveling in general, is I like to, and I do this sometimes when I am booking my accommodation or looking at accommodation, I like to go on Google Street Maps and scope out the area. This gives me a chance to see what the area around my accommodation looks like before I book it or before I get there. I have found this to be especially helpful for me when I'm traveling to a city that I know I'll be taking public transportation. So I like to kind of scroll down the street and see where the nearest metro stop is, if there's a bus stop nearby. I like to see how wide or how narrow the streets are. I try to also pay attention to the street lamps. Are there any restaurants nearby, corner stores, any major landmarks? It's not as accurate as being there in person, and not everything is as it seems, but for me it has been nice to kind of have a general idea of what that area around my accommodation looks like. Plus, I also feel like it makes it less of a mystery to me if I can kind of see, oh, there's a park nearby, or there's a corner store two blocks down, that kind of stuff. It just gives me a better understanding of where my accommodation is going to be located. Another thing I like to do when traveling is that when I am using a rideshare service, something like Uber or Lyft, I think a lot of us do this, but I still think it's worth mentioning. Number one, of course, I like to make sure that I check the license plate to make sure that it matches with what is being said on the app. And number two, I try to make sure also that I feel comfortable with the driver and that it's one person inside the car. Because I've actually seen quite a few TikTok videos of women who have ordered Ubers or Lyfts, and then when the Uber comes, there's 2 people inside the car, there's one person in the driver's seat, one person in the passenger seat, and they have an odd feeling, and then of course, you know, they get out of there. But this is also something you want to take into consideration. If you order an Uber and you have 2 people in the car and something just seems off, you know, just cancel the ride, don't take it. So trust your gut. But another thing that I do is when I'm in the car, I like to follow along with the driver on Google Maps. This is also something you can do inside the app, and that's why I say a lot of us do this, because I do know a lot of us will sit in the back of the car and kind of make sure that the driver is going in the right direction, that they're not veering off into weird areas. But I also think that especially when you're traveling, it can get really easy to get distracted. So I try my very best to stay as alert as I can in the car. I know that it is really easy to, at least for me, to get distracted. Sometimes I'll be on my phone, sometimes I'm looking out the window, and it's fine to do all of that, but I also want to make sure that I'm staying alert. I'm looking at Google Maps or on the app, the driver is going in the direction that they say they're going to go, and especially at night. Stay alert and be aware of your surroundings even when you're in the back of an Uber. So this next tip is actually something that my mom taught me a few years ago. Whenever I go somewhere, whether it be a restaurant or a festival or something, I try to identify the closest exits. So I just quickly like to take a glance around and make sure I know if anything were to go down, where is my closest exit? Because sometimes when things happen, they can happen very quickly, but this is just a very small thing that you can do to kind of set yourself up just in case anything were to go down. Now, when it comes to getting around a new city and finding your way around a new city, Midlife Superstar and Ann Mitt both have a tip that I think is really useful. Midlife Superstar says, get a backup map from the hotel, and Ann Mitt says, a paperback plan is a must. I'm always shocked by the places where I lose cell service. I completely agree with this. We live in a digital age. We are so used to having information at our fingertips. I mean, I just made a video about ChatGPT and, you know, AI. At least I know for me, I can't speak for anyone else, but I know for me, sometimes I am glued to my devices and I feel like I can't function without my laptop computer or my cell phone. It doesn't hurt to have a backup plan and to have a paper map and things backed up on paper just in case. Thank you, Anne and Midlife Superstar, for that incredible tip. But like Anne said, I have been on so many trips where I have lost cell service out of nowhere. My phone just shuts down and doesn't work properly because I've just been flooding it with so many pictures and videos from my trip, or sometimes my phone has died and then I go to hook it up and plug it into my portable charger and that isn't even juiced up all the way. Do as I say, not as I do. So it is good to have at least, you know, a paper map of the city that you're in, you know, with you just in case, because you just never know when you're gonna need it. And if you don't need it, then fine. You just have it and it's just there, you know, it doesn't take up too much space. But when you do need it, it's invaluable. If you are navigating your way through a new city and you feel like you're getting a little lost or a little turned around, Peachy's Place has a great solo travel tip. They say, if I'm using an app for directions or get turned around, I will step inside of a store, coffee shop, or something until I get my bearings to see where I am, which direction I need to go. Nothing says tourist like looking lost and staring at your phone. I totally agree. This is a great tip for your safety. And this is also a really great tip to keep yourself safe and to keep yourself from being a target in a city that is really high for pickpocketing. And also I just want to say there is no shame in getting lost. I've gotten lost so many times when I'm traveling, even when I'm going to a city that I know and I'm like, wait, where am I? Like I thought I was going one direction and then I'm like, this is not right. Especially if you've never been to that city before. I mean, you can't be expected to know every little corner and crevice of a city that you've never been to. But trying to figure it out in the middle of the street among a lot of people looking down at your phone is not the way to go. Looking lost and confused like that and just kind of like navigating your way through your phone could possibly make you a target for crime and just does make you look like a tourist, which is fine. And we are tourists at the end of the day. But like they stated, just duck into a store and take your time, especially if you don't feel a sense of urgency. Don't let it stress you out. Just take your time, rearrange yourself, relax. If you're loving this video so far and you're finding any of this information helpful, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Speaking of being out and exploring the streets, Marie Brown had so many incredible solo travel tips that she has left in the comments, but I wanted to highlight this one because it goes in line with the previous tip that I was just talking about. So Marie says, if you think you are being followed, go into a busy store, restaurant, or some place where you can lose them and get the heck out of there. Absolutely. As I was saying before, it is really important to stay alert and aware of your surroundings, especially when you're traveling solo. It's a great way to lose whoever you feel like is following you, to gain control of the situation and get yourself out of there. And the thing is, you know, although we talk about these things and they're all hypothetical situations, they're also not impossible. And it is good and important, I think, to just have them in the back of your head, in the back of your mind, just in case, because you're setting yourself up for success and you are staying alert and staying prepared. Some sort of game plans and action, all of that can help you stay a little bit safer. And when it comes to finding a place, finding accommodation for your solo travel trip, Ladybug Mom and I are in total agreement. She says, one thing that I found important is to check reviews of the places you're considering to book. I have probably booked and canceled 10 to 12 places based on reviews and just having a bad feeling. Last thing I need is to get to a hotel to find out that they've canceled my room or it's not available. I love this. Absolutely. I know I've said something similar to this before in another video, and she's so right. Check, read, review, scrutinize all of the reviews. People like to share their experiences, whether it's good or bad. And there's so much that you can learn about a place just from reading reviews. I always say, trust your gut. If you have a weird feeling or you feel like a place is off, go ahead and cancel it. Walk away. It's better to be safe than sorry, even if you can't explain it in the moment. And I know I talked about there was an Airbnb that I was looking at, and for some reason I just did not feel good about it. Even after reading all the reviews, I couldn't explain why I didn't feel good about it, and I ended up canceling it and booking a hotel instead. And that was a good decision for me. I went with my gut and I followed through, and I still to this day can't explain why I felt that way. Maybe I would have gone there and something would have gone down, or maybe I would have gone there and it would have been fine. I have no idea, but I just had a gut feeling that this was not the place that I should have gone with, and actually ended up paying more at the hotel, but that was the right decision for me. And this is also the reason why I like to book a lot of things through booking.com. I'm not being sponsored by them, but I try to make sure I am booking a fully refundable place, or at least partially refundable. And also don't be afraid to pay a little bit more for your own safety and your own, to have peace of mind. You might be paying more, but you feel a lot more peace of mind. Go with that one. That's more important, at least in my opinion. Yes, but thank you, Ladybug Mom. That is such an important tip. So another great tip from Marie was, when you check into the hotels and Airbnbs, check the locks and windows, make sure that they can and are locked. I love this tip, and I again completely agree. Once you get into the room, check everything. Check everything before you unpack, and that's something that I like to do, whether it's a hotel, an Airbnb, a hostel. And like Marie said, check the locks, check the windows, make sure everything can lock, make sure things can't be opened from the outside, check under the bed, behind doors, in closets, check everywhere. And also make sure that things are working well and they're working the way that they're supposed to work. So if you need to change rooms, you can do that, and you don't have to put everything back in your bag because you haven't unpacked yet. Now, if you're concerned about getting lonely on your solo travel trip, you are not alone. I get concerned about that all the time. Or if you just don't want to spend the whole trip by yourself, I think it's Tai Tai has a great tip, and they say, I always book a walking food tour to meet other travelers and to get a good layout of the area. I love this. Walking tours, food tours, walking food tours, all of those things are really great. And I love to do them, especially on the first or second day. Like Tai said, it is a great opportunity to get a layout of the area or of the city that you are traveling to. And it's also a great opportunity to meet other travelers and other people. I know when I solo travel, depending on my mood and depending on what I want that trip to be, I like to have a mix of activities. So I like to do some things alone, some group activities, but I've met a lot of friends, or at the very least met a lot of travelers and other people that maybe you might meet someone that you really connect with, that you end up spending your trip with. I have done that, and I still actually have friends that I keep in touch with that I met while solo traveling, and when I come to their city, we meet up and we hang out. So you just never know who you're gonna meet or what kind of experience you're gonna have. But I've also solo traveled and gone on food tours and walking tours and not met anyone, but I had a great time just being with people. And also the beauty of solo travel, which I say all the time, is that you can make your trip however you want. So Leslie's tip is great and something that I also recommend. They say, enroll in STEP. I save the embassy number and address in my phone for wherever I'm going. I love this tip. It's great, it's practical, it's to the point. And this is also something I recommend in my solo travel safety book, which is completely free. And if you're interested in that and want to know more information, I will have a link in the description box so you can check that out. I love this tip. Thank you so much, Esli. STEP is something you can do if you're a US citizen or a US national. It's an option for you. I want to say in a few places, I'm almost positive that they have some sort of equivalent. If you are not from the US and you do know what your country's equivalent program is, definitely feel free to leave it in the comments below. That would be greatly appreciated. It's free. It is a program that is run by the US state, and it stands for Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. Go to their website and enter all of your travel plans, all of your travel itineraries. So they'll ask you things like your emergency contact numbers, what your travel itineraries are, for example, which countries are you going to, what are your arrival dates, all of that stuff. And what they'll do is that they'll keep you informed and up to date with different travel emergencies that are happening in the destinations that you're going to. So for example, any protests or any natural disasters. And it's great because you can stay in the loop and have updated information, because like I've said before, something for me is that the more information I have, the better I feel. Again, it's free, so it's a great program to look into. So definitely look into that if you're interested. If you want more solo travel tips, make sure you check out any of these videos here. I also have a playlist called All About Solo Travel that you can check out as well, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. When it comes to finding accommodation and finding a place to stay for your solo travel tip, All right. Have you seen that TikTok, you know? I feel like I'm in that TikTok. Gotta get the energy, gotta do it. Okay.